We are back.
We were just playing some really awesome music.
Yes. I don't know where Anna be coming up with these songs, man, but I think she's trying to take my DJ gig.
Well, you maybe. Yeah, we could switch
See?
one night.
Look at that. See?
Yeah. Well, shoot, you know about a lot. You know a lot about this stuff now.
I'm learning it from you.
Definitely. So, we're just going to continue talking about East Africa because it's just so interesting. And we're going to switch from Eritrea to Ethiopia, where people are not trying to escape Ethiopia. And okay, so we've talked about how they have been at war, and that Abiy Ahmed has made peace, and he's part of a new generation. And again, this is why one of the reasons that I think Nipsey Hussle may be really important. There's some really, really old leaders. The leader of the president of Eritrea, has been there for 30 years. He's like in his 70s or 80s or something. And Abiy stepping down supposedly, and he's ancient. Yeah, but before we move on to them, let's go to Abiy in Ethiopia, and he's a real badass. He has degrees, and he's been in the army, and he's just very, very accomplished. And so since he came to power, he released political prisoners. He opened up the media. He appointed a bunch of women to prominent positions, and he has attempted to broker peace between in Somalia, and he's attempted to resolve the offshore rights dispute between Kenya and Somalia. So he's getting prominence in the world, but there's still, you know how it is. People in his own country are like, well, why are you doing all that? What about us? So, you know, kind of familiar. And there's still violence. Unfortunately, there's still like tribal, ethnic violence there too. So I don't know, but he's only been in office for a year, and I think he's doing well. And yeah, so then that part of the world, and it's just going to be, you know, and that is the Habasha part of the world. So Algeria, the country in North Africa, has had protests for weeks, and we've talked about that. And the Abdelaziz Bouteflika, oh my God, okay, because I even sent you a picture. Yes. Okay, he hadn't been seen in public since 2013, and he was seen in public. I swear, he looks like, he just didn't even look real. He looked like he looked like one of the figures from Us. Have you seen Us yet?
No.
No.
I am going to see Us this weekend. I'll have a chance to see it.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it. It's good, huh?
It is. It is, because we gotta talk about it.
Was it scary? Did it scare you?
No, it didn't scare me, but part of it, I missed a little, I didn't get the whole thing because I don't really go to horror movies, and so there's a lot of stuff in there that you needed to be a horror movie buff to appreciate. But, I mean, it was deep. I don't know if I'm going to pay full price to go see it again, but I'll definitely stream it once it's available online. Yeah, it was good. It was, I don't know, it was very cool. It was very cool, just visually, the whole look of it, and yeah, very well acted, and yeah, I liked it. It's cool to see that somebody like Jordan Peele really going in different directions. So with Algeria, we haven't known who's really behind Bouteflika, and we still don't know that. And he had so we're kind of the same as we were last time. He said he was going to step down, but they have not said when there is going to be new elections, and he has asked his country for forgiveness, and so we'll see what's happening there. But there's these really old leaders, and it is the same in Sudan. There's been demonstrations going on in Sudan, and okay, now I have to see if I remember this because I copied it. And we've talked about how it's been led by women, and so hopefully this will mean that there's going to be more liberation for women, and in the first place because they are still under Sharia law and are flogged for not dressing appropriately, and so they have released some of the women that were in prison for protesting, but they are still out there. I mean, that is just such bravery.
Yeah.
Wow, really, really amazing. Hello, Tom. A friend of mine is watching.
What up, Tom? How you doing?
So, okay, we've kind of been talking about the East African part of the world and former Belgian colonies. Okay, we talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo here a lot, and so a Congolese rebel leader accused of orchestrating mass rape and other atrocities has been caught, and so there's still been violence happening there, and they're still struggling to deal with Ebola, and so that's what we have right there. But president of Pierre Nkurunziza.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you was talking about up down here. I was like,
Not yet.
He's getting that crazy now? Okay, now
Not yet.
I can understand.
Not yet. So now Twitter, people on Twitter have been posting lots of presidents of President Nkurunziza, all mocked up. But they still have to. So they were jailed, but they are still expected to appear in court. And Burundi has just banned the BBC, which is like the best news station of all, pretty much, and indefinitely suspended the Voice of America. So it's also a real kind of troubled country, and because the major tribes there are the Hutus and the Tutsis, so they have gone back and forth with Rwanda, and so they have had an ethnic conflict which has claimed 300,000 lives. Okay, and in October of 2017, Burundi became the first ever country to leave the International Criminal Court. And in November 2017, the International Criminal Court approves the opening of a full investigation into alleged crimes against humanity in Burundi, where at least 1,200 people have died in unrest since 2015. Well, that is just great timing. I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. Okay, so that is, so with DR Congo and Burundi, we're talking about former Belgian colonies. And so something that's happened in Belgium is the government has apologized to mixed race people for kidnapping them. So this was something that was new to me. Apparently, children born mixed race children of Europeans and Africans during colonial time were considered a threat to the colonial enterprise. They thought that they might be more liable to, overthrow the government since they were part Europe. Right. So so children were taken from Congo, Burundi, and Rwanda and placed in orphanages, and many of them are still alive because these countries became independent. Most of them Congo in 1960 and Burundi in 1962. So a lot of these people were in the court. They were just taken to Belgium and put in orphanages. Crazy. And so the prime minister said that the Belgian government would make resources available to finance additional research on the issue and open up its colonial archives and offer administrative help for people to get access to their records. And that's a big deal. I mean, we've talked about that a lot, about colonial records, and we talked about the Palestinian records, and that's a big piece for people that have been oppressed to find out what happened and find out who they're related to and what their story is. So, wow, because think about that. There could be people in their, I'm 51. There could be people that are 60 or something who are, who were taken away from their families. Yeah, that's really, really crazy. Yeah, so I guess, man. And they don't have citizenship. So, yeah. So that is, it's a start. We've been talking about, last time we talked about archives in France of colonial times. I mean, people want those records back. And it's the same with artifacts. we have talked about that a lot too, and I have the numbers down here, or I did. I'm not sure if I have them, of because that's the other thing that's happening. Ethiopia is getting back some of their archives. So that's the sort of thing that people are working on, and it's pretty amazing. Isaias Afwerki from Eritrea. I have to like a pronunciation guides. I mean, he was part of independence from Ethiopia, and the president Abdelaziz Bouteflika was part of Algeria getting independence from France. I mean, all of this is just so recent, and it's just, I mean, people are just trying to get a handle on all of this. So that is those countries. So that's an apology from Belgium. But okay, reparations. Can we say reparations? I mean, shit.
So what is your thoughts on the whole reparation thing? I'm not talking about other countries, but here, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I think sure. I mean, I think it's the fair thing to do. I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous for people that are running for office to say that they support it, because I don't know. I hate to be the person that sounds like this, but I'm like, it's not going to happen.
I know. What would be a fair way of giving reparations to you? Do you think?
Me?
Like, if you had the choice, they said right now we're going to give black people reparations. Anna, how would you do it?
Okay.
What would you do?
That has actually been, when we have the next break, I'm going to look that up, because that's because it's been written about.
Uh-huh.
I read this author, his name is escaping me right now. I read a really good explanation of it, about how it would be figured out and how it could work.
Hear this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm honest with you. I think it should be done a little bit, but I do agree that's like kind of hard to do.
Yeah. And
I would wonder how they would have to work that. Because I mean, how would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was.
And then on top of that, what about the other groups that may want reparation, like
Native Americans?
Yeah, well, I mean, they got a little something with the casinos.
Yeah.
So they got something, but I mean, I'd like to see how they would work that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy. I mean, the United States government, the Japanese got reparations for being in the detention camps.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, and that's like, look at that. Now that was isn't that crazy?
They don't want to touch black people, though.
Well, yeah.
That's like,
yeah.
Everybody don't like dealing with that. They don't like.
Yeah.
It seems like when that comes up, that's like a big stickler. That's why I had to ask you. I was like, what do you think they would, try to do? But you said after the break. So if you guys want to hear it, you got to wait till after the break.
Yeah, you do, because it was.
Hear this.
Yeah, because it was just explained so clearly that it made perfect. That made perfect sense.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to hear this.
Yeah. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's an African American writer who's really good at figuring out stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, okay, they did reparations to the Japanese internment camps were terrible, but it was like, 2 years. It was, they went on for like two or 3 years, and that was it. I mean, yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, people just don't even want to like think about it, but for African Americans, but yeah, so reparations, but yeah, I mean, and then speaking of reparations, like, sure, I mean, my God, Belgium, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Italy and Belgium, I mean, they should all do reparations. And one of the things we're really talking a lot about former colonies, because last time we had a show, I was talking about how France. Okay, so there's the unit of money in former French colonies is called the CFA franc, and it's pegged for the euro to the euro. So in return for guaranteeing the currency, France holds 50% of the foreign exchange reserves of the colonial francs. So I've never really understood the whole like money reserves and all that. But basically, France should not be. The use of the CFA franc has been applauded. Okay, some people think it's a stabilizing force. Well, I wonder who those people are. And criticized by others as a tool of neo-colonialism. Like, well, we know who they are. Us. That has left countries without control of their own current currency. The president of Chad called for a restructuring of it during 2017 of the country's independence, and others have echoed his sentiment. So, yeah, there we have it. And okay, and so then speaking of the International Criminal Court, Radovan Karadzic had been from the who committed war crimes in the Balkan Wars, had been sentenced to 14 years. Okay, and that's crazy. They need to be sentenced. They need to be sentenced to life. I don't understand. There was another person that was convicted for 14 years at the International Criminal Court. It's like, no, this should be an all or no. You know, if you're bad enough, if you've done enough bad stuff to be convicted by the International Criminal Court, you need to be put away forever. So that is fortunately happening. Karadzic appealed his sentence, and it was increased to life. Okay, take that. I mean, you know, this person's responsible for genocide. Don't give him no 14 years. He needs life, you know. And I don't believe in the death penalty, but you know, I believe in life imprisonment. So anyway, that was okay. So we got a couple more things I have down to cover. Okay, Hungary. That is a country. Oh shoot, Hungary is the country that has banned. They shut down the gender studies departments in their universities. They got a really racist guy. Racist guy as their president, Viktor Orban. He says terrible things about immigrants. Trump likes this guy a lot. Needless to say. Wow. And one of the things he's done is he gave a speech. They want to have more kids. They want to have. I mean, their population is decreasing, and so they want to have more kids. They want to have more people. But he said, "We want Hungarian babies. We don't want immigrants. We don't want immigrants coming to our country to make our country bigger." So what he's done is, women that have 4 children are tax exempt for life. They never need to pay taxes, and he's increasing kindergartens and all daycare, you know, and that's great. That should happen, but he's doing it for the wrong reasons. And then families of 3 and more children get a free van. And okay, White House officials, back to our fabulous country, attended a Hungarian embassy event urging women to have more children. Yeah. They get along really well. But the European Parliament center-right party has indefinitely suspended their nationalist party in a blow to Viktor Orban, and so they have been trying to crack down on him. need to be while they're also sending migrants back to Libyan camps. So that is Hungary. We follow that guy, and then okay, then back to Austria is Sebastian Kurz, the millennial fascist. He's the prime minister of Austria, and he's really young. And one of the things that was controversial about him was when he went into office, he, besides being a millennial fascist, was he brought the far right into his coalition, because they have a parliamentary system, and we can go on about that for a while. But I mean, so does the state of Israel, and when you have a parliamentary system, your hardcore lunatic religious people can. Then you need to bring in their parties. Like in the state of Israel, they have like 2 of them in parliament, but they have to get, but they have to sort of cater to them in order to, do what they want. So it was the same, I mean, in our country, the far right people just aren't it's like if they, not that we don't have some, I mean, it works sort of similar. In our country, the like lunatics. We have some lunatics in office, but the real, like, hardcore religious lunatics, more of them are, like, they're exerting influence from outside so, so it's not that different. But I read an interview, a pretty good interview with him, where he was asked about that, and, I mean, he said he brought the far right in order to get his majority, but he said that Austria is a very small country, and that it's just this, I don't know, it was just kind of different, because they're sort of like, they don't just manage political stuff, they also manage like the forestry department or something. It's not all as, cut and dried as it is here. But he stripped the far right of the spy agency oversight, because the Christchurch shooter in New Zealand, who killed 50 Muslims at prayer, was found to have donated money to the Austrian far right. So, okay, so this is good. He's like holding them accountable. The move, Sebastian Kurz doing this would deprive the far right Freedom Party of oversight of the spy agency. See, it's good. I mean, people are trying to do. We haven't had a meeting since that. We haven't had a show since the Christchurch killing. I mean, people need to try and do something. I mean, so yeah, so that's good. I'm a little pleased that he did that. So okay, we're going to take another break. And we will be back, and hopefully we'll still be there. Thank you for listening, Mr. Bobo.